Today we're going to talk about fun. You know, fun, laughter, fun, that fun, the only fun. One big thing me and Katie have been talking about is hobbies. Never let go of your hobbies. That's been like a big thing for us. Obviously if it's dire straits, you gotta get out of town or you gotta do stuff that's a little more, I guess, life-changing, then it makes sense to sort of dial it down, but to never let it go, never just sort of give up on it and say, well, life's happening too fast, because it's not. It's just harder. With myself and Katie, it's hard because like when you have a kid, like Frankie's only 5 months old, yet she dominates a lot of our time, yet we're trying to find a way to get us both back into the hobbies that we like and the things that we want to do that not necessarily are together. I mean, a lot of them are, but the ones that we individually like to do. Having kids shouldn't be the reason that you give up on a hobby. It may lower the time that you get to spend on that hobby, but it should never eliminate them. I think that's like the death of fun. And some people, the sort of downfall of life and reality. Because hobbies give us a way to like escape everything that's going on. At least that's the goal of them, right? Like if you draw or you paint, that's your sort of escape and you get away from it. For me, it's playing drums, photography, woodworking, basically all the stuff that right now is limited, but it's not gone away forever. And we're talking about, baby number 2 and how it's going to look in our house and what we need to do with our house to make that something that we want and make it a reality. But everybody's different, yet the common themes should be the same. Meaning that if you want to be happy, find a hobby. And that doesn't have to be a big hobby. That can be reading, that could be gardening, that could be just, watching movies, something like that, where it's like, this is what I like to do, and so I'm going to push life around, well, it's pushing me around to do it. And I think that's where a lot of people sort of get thrown off track, whether it's they overwork themselves, whether it's kids, whether it's stress. There's a million different reasons not to do your hobbies, but you need to stay away from them, all of them. Hobbies are a great way to sort of reset yourself. If you have a long day at work, you want to just curl up and lay down and not do anything. But if you take that half hour that you might have, if you take that half hour and put it towards something you like to do, cooking, whatever it may be, drawing, painting. When you do something and it sort of resets your mind, it keeps you sane. It keeps you from sort of shifting that, okay, reality's over here, work, all the BS is over here, but right now, focus on this. Then when you're putting all your attention on it for whether it's 20 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, then when you go back to life, you go back to that reality, you reset and you refocus to tackle that, which I think is a huge benefactor for having hobbies because it sets you up to do better in other places. The most defeated people I see, and I mean everybody has bouts of it, but I think the ones that I see that are long-term, that are sort of bitter and angry and more frustrated as they get older, are people that don't have an outlet, that don't push for an outlet. They may have had one when they were younger or in college or 2 years ago or last week, but now that they don't do them or now that they're not pushing to make them happen, they start that cycle of being bitter and bitter. Plenty of family and friends, all of them have kids, and then you sort of see this slow degrade into sort of bitter and frustration, and it's not healthy, but it's really hard to get out of there sometimes. That's like the toughest part, I think, of life. Be with a single focus, meaning get up, brush your teeth, eat a breakfast, go to work, come home, eat your dinner, go to bed, get up. That repetition, sure, it makes you a great worker or it makes you, good at your job, but it also, makes you that cog in the wheel there. You're not too much different. You're not necessarily happier or anything. You're just sort of going through the motions, and I think that's extremely unhealthy, and it also just stifles creativity in any way. Whether it's reading, painting, drawing, building, working out, playing an instrument, none of these things take skill. Sure, you develop skill, and there's people that are better than others, but a hobby isn't about that. A hobby's about doing something that pushes you away. You should be at 70 being like, you know what, I never played drums. I want to try it, right? You want to be at 45 saying, you know what, let's turn our swimming pool area into a garden. I ain't done that before, but I want to. That's what it should be. Hobby should just be an attempt at something that makes you happy. It shouldn't be, I need to do this professionally, or I'm not an expert, so I don't want to do this. That's not the goal. It's like when you're younger and you start painting for the first time, you're instantly entranced in it. You like it or you hate it. With drawing and stuff like that, it's all about just saturating yourself in it and seeing where it goes. And if you like it, then don't give up on it. Don't come into any hobbies with expectations. I think it's a key way to make them way more entertaining, way more long lasting, and potentially make you, love them more. And I know. The first reactions will be, well, I don't have time. I think that's bullshit. You need to make the time. With Katie and I, we are in a house where if I play my drums, it's loud in the whole house. She wants that quiet space, and so finding that isn't always easy, but it's also not impossible. And I think if you just hang your hat quickly on, I don't have time for this, then you're already giving up defeat before you even try. And so you're stifling that sanity, that happiness, and all that is getting chiseled down. Another one is like, I don't have space for it. I mean, everybody doesn't have a big house, and everybody doesn't have a tiny house, but everyone can make that hobby or that thing that you want to do happen. There are classes around here that teach things, that have the space to do them. For drums, I don't have to have a drum set in the house. If I want to take lessons, through Guitar Center or something as remedial as that, is an opportunity to grow, to make that hobby continue. Another one is, I don't have money for that. And while yes, high-end stuff is, necessarily better, I guess, quality and all that stuff, like photography-wise, the camera I'm using right now is $1,200, and it comes with a lens, and it's on the, sort of just above entry-level camera. But you can take the same brand, it's Canon, you can get their Rebel, I forget what they're on, like T7i or something. It's at Walmart, does everything that this camera does, so there's no excuse to not, get into it. And even, better is you can rent cameras, you can rent gear and all that from Shutterbug here in town, and try stuff out before you want to make a purchase, or just never make the purchase. Rent it, borrow from a friend. I got stuff that I would loan out. And I think a big underused thing is asking friends. If I had a friend that was like, hey, will you take me out when you're filming, or can I come over and make something in your garage with all your tools? I'm glad to do that. I would love to do that. But it also gives them that outlet if they wanted to try it out and they liked it. They don't have to buy a whole bunch of stuff. They don't have to buy all the tools and all that. They could come to me and be like, hey, I want to make this, does it work out, can we do it, right? That collaboration, that effort, that's what stifles people even more. There's easy outlets to find other people. There's Facebook, any sort of the online stuff. If you search, Next Door Neighbor, that app, if you put on there that, does anybody have, interest in this that can help me learn about it, I'm sure you'll find at least 2 or 3 people that are, have stuff or willing to, let you buy stuff or borrow stuff or check it out. I think that's an underused resource. People think either I gotta go buy it or I gotta find it at a garage sale, and that's not necessarily the case. You don't have to make it such a broad leap. It can be just hey, does anybody know this? So chances are that somebody in your family or friend loop already either is interested in it or a part of it, and you can grow that together. Big example is my buddy Derek. He's filming and shooting videos and all this stuff, and he's just 110% into it, whereas I'm like 90% into it. We get the same enjoyment out of the same thing at different levels. Meaning if he's working for a client and he's, going out on a boat and flying his drone and all that stuff, that, fills him up, and that's what he wants, and that's encouraging and great, which to me that would be rad to do. But if I get to sit on an evening like this and make a video, that's just as fulfilling and exciting, because that's where I'm coming from into it. It's not what I'm hoping or what I think I should be on his level, I should be doing that, and that's just, again, the failure of it stifles you. When you're saying I can't do as good as someone else, I don't play drums as good as him, or he takes better photography, or he takes better pictures than me because he's got a better camera, and that's all coming back to that. It's more excuses not to do something, not to stay sane, not to have fun, and that needs to be, limited. And like I said, it just starts small, just test it out. I was talking to my buddy Rob, who while I was getting tattooed, and I always am admired by his artwork, being able to draw, because I can't do it. And I remember I told him that, and his reaction was just like, you could be just as good of an artist as I can. It's just putting in hours. It's muscle memory. That's drums. Go and practice, and you try it out, and then maybe it turns into something great, or maybe it just turns into a hobby that you like to do for fun. Doesn't matter what it is. Do it. It all comes down to time, so don't waste it. Don't live in the land of I wish I had more time, because you don't. I want to learn this, or does anybody have this?